Hello, my name is Caroline Diana Bobart, and welcome to this masterclass training on your beautiful life, uncovering where you are in the natural 5-stage process of stepping out of frustration and into your beautiful life. Now, as a life change strategist, my training is very much centered around the energetic patterns and the emotions, the belief systems, the whole framework, if you will, of why you are where you are in your life right now, and the true nature from a higher perspective most times of why you're struggling with certain issues or relationships or situations in your life. Because once you gain an understanding of the nature of those situations and what you need to know as a growing, changing, self-aware individual, you have everything that you need to get to the other side of that challenge. And that's essentially my work as a life change strategist, is to help you see yourself in the areas in which they aren't clear to you, your blind spots. And so this work is based on my 15 years of experience working very, very, very closely with clients. And yes, there is some generalization here, because this is not the path that 100% of folks go through in this lifetime. But generally speaking, in my work, if you're looking at this training, you're gonna really resonate with the 5 different stages of building and achieving your beautiful life. And what is going to be really, really valuable for you in this training is to allow yourself to uncover what stage you are at. Because if you think about this as a life map, what you need to know in order to get to the place you really want to be. And I often think about this as, in terms of being on holiday. And let's say you've heard of this mystical, magical place that is, a sacred ancient site, and instant healings happen here, and, just miraculous things occur, and it's on your list of things that you must see and experience and do while you're on that holiday. If you don't have a map, you don't know where you are right now, you don't know where this sacred site is, and you don't know how to get from A to B. So chances of you getting to where you want to go are actually slim to none. And this is exactly what we want to do here in this training, is give you a map that will really make it clear, really drive home where you are in this whole process of achieving and building your beautiful life. Because when you know where you are, and you know what's potentially holding you back, or you know the way forward, you can take those steps. You can take exactly the steps that you need with understanding and confidence about what you're doing and why. Because without that plan, without that map, you just kind of throwing your energy into the wind. And oftentimes in my work, I see folks doing things or committing to things, and they're not quite sure why. And so much unnecessary wasted time and heartache and effort can be eliminated if you just created a plan and stuck to the plan because you love the plan. The plan feels good. It feels like an extension of you, and it's something that feels natural for you to navigate your way through. So this is what this training is about, where you are. It's about uncovering where you are in the natural 5-stage process of stepping out of frustration into your beautiful life. So stage 1 is the dull existence. This is the place that many people are at. It's this place of almost being in a slumber, or awaking from a slumber. And that can be in an unhappy marriage or relationship or family dynamic or job, career, relationship to yourself, not knowing who you are, not loving who you are. Getting into dynamics with yourself that really self-sabotage or cause you to replay a certain program, or or dynamic over and over in your life that keeps you feeling unseen or invalidated or frustrated or stuck. Oftentimes in this place, because you are essentially trying to keep things steady, keep things predictable, and as much as it feels frustrating and you feel stuck, there is a certain comfort in things staying the same because you've likely been at this place for a long, long time, many years. And the idea of not really knowing why you've ended up here, and the idea of beginning to shift, it can be a daunting prospect for many, many folks. And so what can tend to happen is that in this place of dull existence, you can find yourself becoming somewhat controlling of the relationships and situations and dynamics and conversations and interactions you find yourself in, not because you want to be, in control per se, but more it's a subliminal thing that if you can manipulate things in your way, in a way that keeps your life experience steady and predictable and sure, then you kind of naturally find yourself pushing things that way. So it's a very subtle dynamic, but yes, in this place of dull existence, folks can tend to be quite controlling of their lives and the people in their lives, and they're oftentimes quite preoccupied with social masks, how they appear to other folks, keeping up appearances, because there is in this place an inherent disconnect between who you really are and who you know yourself to be and what your life looks like on the outside. There is a disconnect that runs throughout that, and essentially in this place you've landed at this place because you don't know who you are. And that might sound quite brutal, but it's really important that we acknowledge that, because that's the first step in being able to open up into the possibility that there is so much more to you that you can experience and enjoy, and where your true capability and potential lie. We must acknowledge that you don't end up at a place like this, dull existence, if this is who you are. This is who you really are. It's just not. So these are some of the thoughts that you can experience in this place of dull existence, or in in these long-term situations that really, really drain your soul. You can think to yourself, is this all that there is? Is this all that life is about? What is the purpose of me being here? What is the purpose of my life? Why am I here? Why am I here? It's a question I hear time and time again. Is this all that I'm capable of achieving or doing or being or having in this lifetime? I don't see how change is ever going to be possible for me. And that thought, I don't see how change is ever going to be possible for me, is connected to this place that you're at here in this dull existence, where you can feel that something needs to give in order for you to step out of the unhappy relationship or the unhappy job. Something needs to give. There needs to be some kind of opening or some kind of shift, and that will require you to let go of the familiarity and the control and this state of being that you've known for a long, long time. And when you've been in that for a long time, if you look at the figure in this illustration, you can see, if this is your experience, and it has been, it makes it very, very difficult for you to have clarity on what is truly possible for you beyond the experience that you're in. And connected to that thought is the belief that I don't fundamentally believe that I will survive if I say no to the situation, the relationship, or the job that is really stifling my soul. And throughout this training, you'll hear me refer to the figures in the illustrations, because they really, really depict and capture what it's like being on the inside of a particular stage. And if you look at stage 1, the dull existence, you can see it keeps the figure very, very separate to anything on the outside. Anything that could be good, anything that could be spontaneous or fun or authentic or laughter. And so that's the reason I love these illustrations, is because they really, really do depict what it's like to be in that space. And from here we move to stage 2, which is the point of departure. Point of departure is really the place you find yourself at when you begin to awaken to the realization that, okay, I'm really not happy where I am. Like, I really am not happy where I am, and this cannot be all there is to life. Like, and you start questioning, that kind of, you're very much in your head thinking and overthinking, like, what is life about? What am I meant to do with myself? Like, why can't I just find my life purpose? Why is it so difficult? Why do people seem to have so much ease and I struggle to find myself and my happiness and my joy? And that questioning process can lead you into one of two places. Either you go under or you fall asleep. You fall asleep to yourself and to your life. And you become a long-term bystander in that unfulfilling life. Or you inch closer to breaking point. So just to explain a little bit about both, when you make the choice to carry on for years, of course, I use the word choice, but it's not necessarily a conscious choice. Nobody would really choose consciously to carry on with a mediocre, unfulfilling existence consciously. But from my training and my school of thought, it depends on, why you're here in this lifetime. What are you here to learn? What is your purpose? Sometimes we don't understand why we struggle with certain things, and those are exactly the areas of our lives that we've come into this lifetime to expand upon and develop and heal and learn about. And that puts us into relationship with our lives, with ourselves, with others in certain ways that we're not necessarily aware of. And just depending on how that combination of variables is meant to play out in your life will determine whether you as a spirit choose right now in this lifetime to carry on with this existence for years, or whether that hand of spirit pushes you in the other direction of inching closer to your breaking point. And one of the really, really important pieces around inching closer to breaking point is that it can seem quite alarming, quite scary and uncomfortable to think of your process in those terms, like I'm inching closer to my breaking point, I'm gonna crack up if I continue like this. But what I want you to know is that is a natural process that spirit moves you through in order that you can actually get to the other side of the unhappiness and the frustration and the pain. So it's like passing, being on a road trip and you pass through like an undesirable neighborhood or town, but you're not going to stop there. You're going to get to the other, get to the motorway on the other side of that town. Getting to your breaking point is very much like that. The piece that we can sometimes forget is that we can associate breaking point with a destination in and of itself, and that is just sometimes the case. But if you're in a process of growth and evolution and self-care and developing your identity and self-worth, very often you can swing things in your favor so that you can get beyond the breaking point. Whether you stay at breaking point or you're able to move past breaking point, again, is connected to what are you in this lifetime to learn. And I don't believe that you'd be looking at this training if you necessarily were one of those folks that was going to be happy to commit to being stuck at breaking point. That's just my my intuition around this. Like, if you're watching this training, it's because you've been searching for a way forward, a way out. So stage 3 is actual breaking point, and this is the stage that I really deal a lot with in my work. Because if you choose to carry on for years and years with that dull existence and that unfulfilling life, there's not much that someone like me can can really talk about or contribute to that place that you're in. This is the place at breaking point and stage 4, between stage 3 and stage 4, where my work really comes into its own and pushes you into that next place beyond breaking point that you're ultimately trying to get to. So I think we've probably all been here in some, form or fashion. This place of breaking point, the figure in the illustration really portrays what it's like to feel burdened and overwhelmed and weighed down, weighed upon, unsupported, unseen, heavy, grief, despair, unsure of yourself, frightened, anxious, trapped, clenched, paralyzed, waiting, wanting, wishing, hoping that someone would come along and see your plight and rescue you, save you. Your mood can be quite low in this place. You can feel demotivated and hopeless. One of the main reasons I've put those energies in, the green and the blue, are because that can tend to be the area of the body where we hold a lot of our grief and our emotional pain around not being able to access who we really are. When we're in that place of disconnection, which breaking point is, you're not connected to your authentic self. You're not in communication with your magic and your magnitude and your capability and your spirit and your light. You're just not connected to those things in this place. That can be where you hold a lot of the grief around that in that chest and throat area. So some of the thoughts that you can experience when you're at breaking point, and I hear this almost across the board, is that I speak to folks and they say to me, I'm so unhappy. I cannot live one more day like this. I know I need a change, but I don't really believe that I have what it takes. And again, if you look at the illustration and you imagine what it's like to be on the inside of that bubble, surrounded by those types of emotions, that vibration of emotion and feeling, you'll see it's very, very difficult to see anything beyond that darkness and that grief, beyond that emotional pain. That doesn't mean it doesn't exist and is not outside of that bubble, but it just means like it can feel like a real stretch to perceive anything beyond what your current experience is. But in this place, as with dull existence, stage 1, is this subliminal knowing, this inherent knowing, this deep inner knowing that I can't live like this. I cannot live like this. And I need a change. And the more time you spend at breaking point, the more you inch closer to that place where you're able to say, I'm just gonna let it go. I'm gonna let it go, because eventually at breaking point you lose the will. You would lose the will to try and control or feign that you have it together. It becomes a very, very arduous task, emotionally, physically, mentally, and there's a part of you that just says, let it go, just let it go, just let it go. And far from being giving up, that's actually when you step into a place of relatively greater possibility and truth. That point of letting go is probably the scariest point, because it means letting go of the illusion that you know what you're doing and you know who you are, and that life is okay, because life hasn't been okay for some time. And coming to that, to really accept that, it is a brave thing to do. It takes a lot of courage to say, I'm gonna have to wipe the slate clean and start again. And what folks tend to say at this place is that they actually seek the reassurance. Do you think this is possible for me? I need a change more than anything. I cannot stay at this place. Do you think change is possible for me? And from there, the natural question is, how? If change is possible for me, how do I get from where I am now to where I want to be? Can you help me? Can you guide me? Can you show me how? How is the elusive question at this point. And of course, the how is my expertise. The how is how I help my clients mobilize from stage 3, breaking point, into stage 4, the container of transformation. So container of transformation is, you can see this is the place that you enter when you step out of breaking point into a space or a relationship or an agreement or container that is designed to hold you and facilitate your healing and your release and your transformation. It is very, very highly customized to fit your needs, your individual situation and your needs. And yes, this is what I provide for clients in my work, a container of intense, high level, high impact transformation, healing and change. But what I really want you to get is that you can step into a container of transformation in other ways as well. For example, through a friend or a mentor in your life, or a group of people who know you and love you and support you. A container of transformation is a purpose-built vessel of healing and support. And what happens in a container of transformation is that you take that step from being a breaking point. And then when I mentioned that letting go, when you've let go, this is the dynamic that you find yourself in once you've stepped into a container of transformation, is this simultaneous process of releasing and integrating, releasing the old and integrating the new. So one of the other things that a container of transformation provides is new perspective. It's like a paradigm shift where you can see more of your personal truth and access more of who you really are, because the people holding that container of transformation for you see it for you first. They hold that vision for you first. And there's something quite alchemical and very, very energetic and unspoken about a purpose-built container that holds you as a spirit. But what you need to know is that this idea of releasing and being able to see yourself more clearly is a natural process. So when you gain more understanding of some of the things that have been weighing you down or holding you back, like old agreements or understanding of yourself, or labels, identities that you were given as a child, this is who we expect you to be, which may in fact have very little to do with who you really are. And you've been trying all these years to align yourself to standards and expectations that really are out of whack, out of alignment with your natural talents and inclinations and perspective and skills. Like, that is the disconnect that we talked about in the dull existence. That's why you find yourself in the dull existence to begin with, is because there's that internal disconnect. So we release things like self-punishment, guilt, grief, all identities, labels, unrealistic expectations, arbitrary yardsticks that we've been carrying with us unquestioningly our whole lives. And alongside this process of releasing is the process of integrating more of who we really are. And that is, you become more connected to yourself and others. You develop a growing trust in the process that you're in, this process of healing and growth and change, and your capability to create that and have that as well. You tap in more to the vibration of self-love, what it really feels like to be appreciative of who you are, and to appreciate and to admire and to cherish the magnitude and the uniqueness that you are, because without that, you have no chance of building an authentic, beautiful life. So this is something that really comes about naturally in the container of transformation. You develop a growing compassion and ownership and wisdom and intuition, inner resilience and strength. You click in more to your personal truth, and you have so much more clarity on who you really are. But perhaps the most important thing about a container of transformation is the state of being that it invites you to have. And what that means is, if you look at the first two stages of dull existence and point of departure and breaking point, actually the first three stages, if you look at those first three stages, you are very naturally in your head space, in a mental kind of framework, operating within a mental framework in those three stages. The shift that occurs between stage 3, breaking point, and stage 4, container transformation, is what kind of allows you to shift from a state of thinking and overthinking to a state of being. And that state of being is where you get to experience what it feels like to be you. And sometimes as adults, when I hold a container of transformation for my clients, sometimes that's the very first time in their lives they get to experience what it's like to have permission to be themselves and to feel themselves and connect into that. That is a really powerful, transformative place to be. It happens in a container of transformation. So a container transformation is a relationship, agreement, or container that properly supports and holds you and enables you to click into your natural state. And I say properly holds and supports you because I want you to be under no illusions that containers of transformation are easy things to come by, or they are very kind of divinely orchestrated. Like, you will know what is right for you. You will know what you most need to step into, and who can support you with that. Proper support does not come in the form of an ebook that you download for free. It does not come in the form of, a writing workshop that you pay a minimal amount for. A container of transformation demands by its very nature that you have your skin in the game. And oftentimes in today's society, that means being willing to invest in yourself. Because if you are not invested in yourself and you don't see that you are worth every dime of the change that you desire and that you need, then you're not committed to the process of change, really. You're paying lip service to, yes, I'd like change, but I'm not really there. I want you to do it for me. Or I'm gonna wait for it to fall out of the sky. I'm gonna wait for something to happen. But all of that just really speaks to the reality that you are not invested in yourself. You don't believe that you can have what you need. And I have come across many people at this place in my work. And these are not the folks who experience the change that they've been longing for. These are not the folks who find their life purpose. These are not the folks who can move on and create their beautiful lives. These are the folks who circulate around breaking point for a very, very long time. And I say that with love, really. It's important for me to be honest so that you know exactly what's required for you to have the shift that you need. You must be committed to yourself. You must believe on some level that you are worth the change, that your contribution to the world is valuable, and that by you being your best, others get to benefit from that as well. If you don't believe in that whole process and that the universe wants to support you in that, then maybe that's something you need to consider for some time in order that you can take the next steps that are right for you. In a container of transformation, the internal shifts that you experience on the inside of this bubble, this integrating, releasing dynamic, is ultimately what underpins the outer life changes that you want to see. And they occur naturally. These are not things that you need to force or to try to do. This is literally what happens when you step into a powerful container of transformation and growth. So it's 100% an inner job that is possible for you with the right expertise, in the right container, and with the right support. And I really don't want you to get too bogged down in how and what a container of transformation is and how does one hold that. What you need to know is that once you're committed to change and you're ready to let go the baggage and the heaviness and the pain of being at a breaking point, and you're ready to step into what's next, that container of transformation will appear. And that is the place at which you use your intuition and you step into that place of healing and refuge that Spirit has put in front of you and is calling you into. So I use a combination of intuitive assessment, ritual, and coaching, but any container of transformation will provide you with the equivalent of what you need. So what I'd like to share with you now is some client feedback from someone who's actually been in a container of transformation that I've provided for him. And I think the benefit of you hearing it in his own words, in Kel's own words, is that you get to gain a better sense of what it is if you're ready to let go of being at this place of breaking point and step into a container of transformation. I think it will really help you gain an understanding of what it is you're looking for.
It's been a really amazing process. I mean, I came to Caroline going through probably the toughest time of my life, to be honest with you. Very stuck. I found myself living in my parents' house, or living with my parents. I was trying to start a business, and I felt really, really stuck, and I really didn't know what to do. And I came across her, and we had a talk, and I felt it's really tough to put it into words, like all that she's been able to. I've just been working with her for 3 months, and how much that has shifted is almost surreal. First of all, like the level of compassion that she brings to the situation, I felt it immediately. I felt immediately supported. I felt like I really had someone that was supporting me, looking after me, someone that I could just kind of spill all the beans to, and she really offered me perspective. She uncovered all these things that I never even thought of. I consider myself to be someone that is into personal development. I'm always trying to better myself and become my authentic self. But she just, I don't know, I felt so stuck, and she was able to offer this unique perspective. To give you an example, I found out one of the reasons why I felt so stuck was because I had such a high expectation for myself and what I wanted to do, that I was trying to live up to this person that I wanted to be in the future, yet I hadn't done all the work to get there. So it was since I wanted to be there, so I wanted to be there now, I was unwilling to take the baby steps to get there, if that makes sense to any of you guys. So she was able to uncover that right away. I was able to let go of that expectation to like be like perfect now, I guess. And then when I let go of that, I found out that I needed to let go of a relationship I was into. At the time, I felt I had to let go of where I was living. Lots of letting go, and it wasn't easy at first. But like once I made that decision to let all that stuff go, it was crazy how quickly everything shifted. There was a lot of action that was needed to be taken in that, and all the journaling and all that process. But once I did that, everything, it was like the universe just kind of shifted and everything just started to change. I got this job. I won't say that this job's like my passion, but it's perfectly supportive building block that supports me to where where I want to go. But that just manifested out of the blue without me doing hardly anything. It was so bizarre how it happened. And I was able to let go of the relationship I was in. I was able to find a new place, and everything has shifted, and everything is moving so fast. It's almost hard to believe, but it's really been an honor and such an awesome experience working with Caroline. I'm excited. It's like sometimes I feel like I'm impatient. I want things to change so fast. I want to like be there now, but you almost don't see it how quickly it's changing as it's happening. But like I look back now like 3 months ago to where I am now, and it's like bizarre how quickly things have been changing. So I'm really excited to see where they go. And thank you, Caroline.
That's great. Thank you, Kyle, so much. So what I really want to put your attention on is this recording that you heard about Kyle's experience was captured at a time where he had stepped 3 months prior from his breaking point into a container of transformation that I provided for him. And the experiences that he describes in that container of transformation are very much that process of releasing and integrating. And it's 12 months since that recording was made, and this is actually where Kyle is now. He is at a place where his time is his own, and he is so in tune with himself and his pace and his needs, and his intuition is developing, and he feels energetic. He's taking care of his body. He's organized his life. Synchronicities are there for him, so much so that he has an abundance of opportunities available to him. And it just depends on where his energy and attention want to flow each day. He has exactly what he needs right now. He is no longer in that place of being weighed down and feeling heavy and dull. He feels connected, he feels fit and joyful, light, confident, on purpose, decisive. Things are happening for him with ease and with grace and with flow. He's enthusiastic. He's a massive trust in himself and the process that he's been through in the last 15 months that we've been working together. He has compassion, not just for himself and self-love for himself, but I can see this is exactly the gift that he's been after, because this is exactly what he wants to share with the world. Part of the process he's been in is to find that for himself, to develop that for himself. And he's ready. He's at this place now where he's able to pass that on. And, when I first met Kyle, that was exactly what he said to me. I want to serve. I know I'm meant for great things. And this is exactly the place he's at right now. He's in his groove. He's in his own wisdom. He feels inspired and strong and really, really connected to his personal truth. And he's happy and he's clear. And again, he's in this place of being, just being himself. And it's such a little word, being, but it captures such a huge notion, because you as a spirit are big and capable and, more dynamic and wonderful than you can ever imagine, than you give yourself credit for, that you've ever been told about. And so that this process of being is one that you kind of sink into deeper and deeper as you go. It's almost like there are unlimited depths to exploring who you really are and how that is meant to express in the world. So here are some of the thoughts that not only Kyle, but many of my other clients, I hear them share with me when they get to this place of living their beautiful life. So they've been through their breaking point, they've been through the container transformation, and they're in this place of relatively, more grace and ease and synchronicity and authenticity and flow. I'm finally gaining a clear sense of who I really am. I feel connected and alive. I'm learning at last how to trust myself. I'm returning to my first loves in life and to myself. In my work, I help my clients identify their anchor points, which are the pillars or the experiences or the qualities that make you, you. These are the things that you can't live without. These are the pillars that you ground your life through, you ground your body through and your experiences through, and that really help you build an authentic experience of life. This is a very solid foundation based on who you really are. And a lot of folks, if you think back to stage 1 in that dull existence, they have no idea what their anchor points are, what their pillars are in this life. So very, very important part of the process of getting to know who you really are, what you're capable of, and what's next for you. In your beautiful life, you'll feel like living a good, happy life is profoundly simple now that you see the beauty and completeness of who you are. And you'll see that taking inspired, intuitive action leads you towards your best life each and every day. So if we recap and we look at this life map, your beautiful life, this natural 5-stage process of stepping out of frustration and into your beautiful life, what I want you to identify is, what stage are you at? Is it dull existence, point of departure? Are you approaching your breaking point, or have you reached your breaking point? And if you have, how long have you been at your breaking point? Are you ready to step from your breaking point into a container of transformation? Or if you're not in a container of transformation, is that your next step? What is your intuition saying to you about the container of transformation that will most serve and support you? Or are you one of those lucky folks that are already living your beautiful life? What stage are you at in this process of building and achieving your beautiful life? So what's next? Now that you've identified where you are on that life map, where you are now and where you'd like to go, what I'm most concerned with and what I really want to share with you, like I said, my work is really focused on helping folks move from their breaking point into a container of transformation that provides proper holding and guidance and support. So if you are at your breaking point, and you have been for some time, and you have this sense that you're looking at this training not by accident, but because it's really appeared in your life at the right time to help you move into what is next, you will know if you hear that call. And if you do hear that call, let's start a conversation. What I want to invite you into is to book yourself into my calendar for a chat, so we can look at what that next step might look like for you. Where are you now? What are you needing most? And can I support you with that? And if I can, how are you sensing my expertise and my support can help you take your next steps? So the link you'll need to book yourself into my calendar is calendly.com/Caroline Diana /connection-call. You can see it here on the slide. That's calendly.com/Caroline Diana /connection-call. And so I hope you've enjoyed this training. I've certainly enjoyed sharing with you all of my knowledge and my expertise. Thank you so much for listening, and sending you lots of love.